What got you started in running and what got you to stick with it?
Yeah, so running has always been kind of a part of my life in the sense that like my parents both ran track at a pretty high level, so track's always been kind of at least like made aware to me. So um yeah, I used to watch track with my parents on TV growing up. I'd see their medals and their pictures and whatever. So like I always knew about it, and then one day I was just like, hey, I kind of want to try that because I had tried like every sport growing up, like basketball, football, baseball. I'm like, I want to try track. And then, after a while, I decided I want to just stick with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, do you think having that background in other sports had any carryover to your running or not?
I think just running is involved in a lot of sports, obviously. So like every sport I played, I was always the fastest one on the team. So that was like, I knew I was fast, and then it got to the point where I'm like, okay, like maybe I'm fast enough to be good at track. So yeah, I think that was the only carryover. I think just like learning how to be a part of a team though, and like learning how to like train and stuff like that, I think that definitely certainly had some carryover as well.
So did you start with mid distance or did you start with sprints or kind of what was like your first event? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I remember like when I was in youth, I would really only run the 100 and do the long jump. It was like I was scared. Anything longer than 100, I thought was too long. Like I would literally jog the first curve on the 200, and then I would start sprinting because I thought I would die. And then then I started running the 400 a little bit in youth. And then I think I think by the time I was in sixth grade, I ran a couple 800s, and then that was my last year of youth before high school. So then I got to high school, and then I went right to the 400, and that was where I was like really like taking off. So yeah, I was really always kind of like a sprinter, honestly, and then 800 kind of kicked in, I guess, junior senior year of high school.
So you recently competed at nationals. Can you kind of give your thoughts on how you did or your performance?
Yeah, it was one of those meets like I didn't even honestly know I was going to go to it. Just this year has been very up and down for me for a number of reasons, and so yeah, like going into it, I was just like, I want to see just what I got, try to have fun. And yeah, 45.9 season's best. You know, nothing crazy, but I was happy with it, just given all the stuff that's gone on this year, and so yeah, I'll take it.
Mhm. And then, so you've been transitioning over the past couple of years from competing in collegiately to competing as a pro. I was just wondering kind of what's been what's been like the biggest challenge or biggest difference between competing at the collegiate level versus competing as a pro.
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest difference is the lack of structure as a professional. Like, I didn't realize how much that would affect me until I was actually like, in this professional scene. Like when you're in college, I mean, I don't know how it is at smaller schools, but when you're at like a D1 Power 5 school, like your entire day is micromanaged. Like everything you do is planned out for you basically, and it makes it really easy. You literally just have to show up, go to class, go to the track, go to the training room, and you're good. Like there's really no thought about it. Um, that is not the case as a pro. Like you're making your appointments, you're going to practice, you're driving there, like you're driving to the gym, you have to do everything on your own, which for some people like they'd handle that great. For me personally, I've realized like it's actually a lot more on like a lot more load for me to bear than I realized. And so it's been pretty difficult. That's honestly been one of the biggest reasons I've struggled so much, I think, is just because like that lack of structure has exposed some weaknesses that I didn't know I had necessarily. So yeah, working on that has been definitely a challenge. But we're getting there, figuring that out. And yeah, I also think not having a team because I have some training partners, but it's not as consistent as like when you're at a team practice and you like every day it's the same and you know what to expect. Like a lot of it here is, we're just kind of mixing in with each other when we can. There's a lot less cohesiveness, and it's not like you have a common goal. Like at Georgia, we all wanted the same thing. We all wanted to win a national championship. We all wanted to be the best and just push each other to be the best. Here we don't have that. We're just it's kind of every man for himself. So it's a little different. It takes getting used to.
Hmm. And you had a very successful collegiate career. So you won the 2023 outdoor 800 meter NCAA championship. Can you kind of talk us through what that moment felt like?
Yeah, yeah. That was just given how that season had gone up to that point, like especially indoor was very frustrating for me for a number of reasons, and then early outdoor, like again, just a lot of frustration. So, I kind of picked up steam at the right moment at like outdoor SECs, I would say, and and then just kind of rode that wave. And so, like to cap it off with a championship was that was a surreal feeling. I mean, just knowing that because like seriously, halfway through the year, I was like, oh shoot, like this is not going well. Like this is not good. And then like to end it like that, it's like a complete turnaround in my mind. So yeah, it was great. Really just like I still sometimes I can't believe that actually happened. It feels so far away now. I mean, it's been over 3 years since that moment now, and like I don't know, just yeah, crazy.
Yeah, so you spoke about a couple of minutes ago about like you have training a few training partners now. I was just wondering, is there any one training partner that's really motivated you?
Yeah, so I think my training partner Evan Mathilis. I don't know if you would know of him. He went to Washington State, or sorry, not Washington State, Washington and Oregon uh, in college, and then he came here to the Atlanta area after college to train. And he like that guy. I mean, he works so hard. He's so dedicated, and like he's also just doing a lot. Like he's working a job that was working a job that was really hard and taxing, and just to see him show up every day and give it his all, and like despite having all this stuff going on outside of that was just I don't know really inspiring to me, especially, and like I've had some good talks with him and stuff. So having him there to push me, like knowing that he's going through stuff and he's still out here giving it his all, like that's to me that's what it's about. Like because I think track is one of the few sports where even when you're at the highest level, like you're probably like more likely than not, you're probably doing something outside of track to make money. Like very few people are in my position where you can have track as your full time job. So um, it's just I don't know. It's really inspiring to see that, uh, and to kind of feel his experience with him. So yeah.
And then just overall, just throughout your career, has there been like a coach or teammate that's just had the biggest impact?
Yeah, so I would say coach has been Coach D or Coach Terrence. Like those two have really transformed really like so Coach D I started working with during COVID, which I credit basically all of my success in track to him. I mean, seriously, I would not be where I am without him because Coach Dominic, like I went from running like 50 point, like 23 in the 200 to like 47 and 22 1 in literally just like 6 months of training with him because he just totally changed my mindset, and he transformed the way I thought about running, the way I thought about myself in a way that no one else really could. And so he got that out of me, which I mean, and now to be working with him again has kind of rekindled that. And it's still a process, obviously, but yeah, that's been huge. And then Terrence, I think Terrence more from like a philosophical side or and even like a holistic side. He really got me out of my injury in from 2024. Like he basically like brought all this knowledge and like basically gave me this understanding of my body and my mind in a way that I didn't really know before. And was he enabled me to truly understand like how my body works and why it's getting injured and how to prevent that and things like that. And so that's like now it's made things so much better. I mean, I still deal with injury situations and stuff, but rather than it being like a deep pit, it's like just a little bump. So yeah, those two, I mean, seriously, like without them, I do not know where, like, I wouldn't be here today, you know?
And then I think I've noticed, at least with runners at the high school level, there's not a lot of emphasis on like strength and conditioning because I think there's a fear of like, oh, if I lift weights, I'm gonna be slower. So I was just wondering, do you incorporate any strength and conditioning work, or at least in the off season?
Yeah, interestingly, I never lifted in high school, mostly because I was like kind of small. Like I was like 150 pounds, like not really very developed. Like we knew I had some growing left to do and stuff. So we were like, all right, you know, let's hold off on that. Didn't really go too deep into training as well. Then I got to college and it was very emphasized. Like Georgia, like lifting is huge there. So I was lifting a lot, put on a lot of like weight and stuff, and definitely made me stronger. I think as a pro, I've kind of tapered that back a bit. I've sort of found a middle ground of like, lifting, but not crazy heavy. Lately, though, I really haven't been lifting a whole lot, mostly just because a lot of like external variables. But yeah, I'm trying to kind of get back into my routine of like lifting more for like biomechanics and doing movements that'll make me more athletic and make me more target like specific muscles for running rather than just like doing these general lifts that don't necessarily have much of a purpose for running. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning now is like what can I do because so like in talking with like for instance Terrence and then Dan Path, like he's another guy who's very influential to me, is like what can I do, what's the least amount I can do to maximize the benefit of the weight room, because you don't want to spend a full hour and a half in the gym if you don't need to, right? Like you can get in, get out, and do like 8 or 10 things and be done. So that's kind of where I'm at now, is like trying to figure out exactly what is most beneficial, like kind of like a minimum effective dose, if that makes sense.
Mhm. And then do you think is there a point where you could be like so focused on getting your numbers up and your lifts up that it could have a negative impact on your running training?
Yeah, I do think there was an element of this at Georgia. Like, if I'm completely honest, I think like we were always trying to like max out in the weight room. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I swear our number went up every single week,
Hmm.
which kind of made sense for me because I never lifted before. So of course I was going to keep getting better. But at the same time, I also never lifted before. So it's like, why am I over here squatting like 450 pounds on a
Yeah.
box when I literally had never squatted in my life like 4 months before? So, like I think it's great. I think it's great to try to challenge yourself, but I just don't think you should be doing it too much. I think there's a time and a place for it. I think like you know, maybe at the end of each training cycle and kind of time it with your running stuff too. So like rather than like every week we're like, maxing out squat, like how about, go like 70%, 75%, 80%, and then like at the end of your cycle, do like a 1 rep max or something like that. I don't know. Just like you got to be smart with it because that stuff taxes your central nervous system a lot. Like you're not going to be able to do that for a long time.
Mhm. And then when you speak to someone who maybe isn't a runner, is there any like common misconceptions you get about like or questions about your training?
Yeah, so it's interesting because people don't understand how track training works, and like I'll try to explain, like I guess like they don't, obviously there's so much nuance to it. You have like your easy running, which anyone can understand that, and then you have your sprinting, anyone can understand that, but all that stuff in between, no one really gets, and even a lot of people who do run don't fully get it either. So trying to explain like, yeah, like I'm doing VO2 max today, or like I'm doing like LT1 today. Like they'll never understand what that means, and so it's kind of interesting to like put it in a perspective that they can understand of like, yeah, like I'm trying to train like the maximum amount of volume I can at this pace to then benefit a pace that's like slightly faster than that, or like, you know what I mean, like stuff
Mhm.
like that. It's, I don't know, they don't really get it. Same thing with lifting. I think like I don't know, even like physiologically, people look at me and they think I'm a marathoner. They'll see me in the gym, they're like, oh, are you training for a marathon? I'm like, dude, I'm like 6'2", 175 pounds. Like, no marathoner is my size. Like, so like, I don't know. It's just funny. You'll see like people who don't run just they don't really understand a lot of this stuff. It's really funny.
Well, yeah, I can speak to that definitely too, because I remember you did ask me anything a couple of years ago on Instagram, and I think I
Yeah,
legit asked you like, do you think that running cross country would make me a faster sprinter in the 100? And now I look at that, I'm like, dude, that's not how that works.
yeah, no,
And you
absolutely.
explained that to me, and I appreciate that, but I thought that was funny at the time looking back on it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's a fair question. Like when you're starting out, you like genuinely don't really know that
Yeah.
they're completely opposite sides of the spectrum. But yeah.
hmm And then just like, do you have any hobbies outside of running? Because I know you do have a pizza page where you make pizzas, and I know you do play the piano. So I was just wondering, are there any other hobbies?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So piano, pizza, yeah, those are two ones. I like writing, I like drawing. I love cycling. Cycling, I seriously, that's probably like my number one hobby when it's warm outside. Um, yeah, besides those, I think that's about it.
Okay. And then my last question for you, Will Sumner, what is your track and field hot take?
Track and field hot take. Ooh, okay, okay. So my hot take is I think that the only way to grow track and field would be to introduce some kind of team aspect. I think it needs to be like kind of in the realm of professional cycling or even like Formula One, where you have sponsored teams and people can root for them. And I think the televised segments need to be like very technological based. So that way like people kind of understand what's going on, like live speed, like maybe even like a camera that shows exactly what the runner's seeing, like a little camera like right here, like something like that. I think would make track way more immersive, make fans actually, like fans who don't already like running, I want to cheer for this team, I want to cheer for that team, oh, and then like have a championship at the end. I think something like that would be, that's like the only way I think track and field could ever grow from like a fan perspective. Because seriously, like the the way the sport is run is not, it's not conducive to like growing outside of the already existing track base. So yeah, I think something like that would be probably like maybe my biggest hot take.
Mm. And I think we're at a point now with social media, like running is gonna have the most exposure it's ever gonna have, or at least it has it right now. So like I think they could use social media a little bit better to get it out to more of a casual audience. Because I compete in a sport of powerlifting, and we're at a point now where people are still trying to gatekeep the sport with social media. Like the top level lifters aren't even making money from their sport. So I think using social media to let track and field grow would be super beneficial.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good take because I think, and if what I was saying, like a league of that sort was created, I think the one of the best things you could do is make it very transparent, and through social media you would make it transparent. Like seriously, training should be way more transparent. I
Mhm.
don't know why people gatekeep their training, and it sounds like it's the same thing with powerlifting. It's like, dude, we're all doing roughly the same thing.
Yeah.
Post what you're doing. It's not that big of a deal, dude. You're not like anything special.
Mhm.
So, like, I don't know. I think doing that, showing like, oh, what is your daily routine? Like, actually, what does it look like, and what are the ins and outs of being at your level? Like, I think that kind of stuff people want to see, and um, I know some people out there are showing that stuff, and I appreciate that. And yeah, I think if there was like a more organized way of being more transparent and not like gatekeeping your sport, I think I think both track and powerlifting would grow a lot.